because of the way that happened, the people that founded Israel were a bunch of organized crime figures in America, the Jewish mob, that were helping with money and with arms trafficking to get the guns there because they had to have guns. And it was the Rothschild banking families sending a whole bunch of money and getting the declaration in the first place. And then the people that were there, the three different organizations, the Irgun, the Lehi group, and the Haganah, those were the three like paramilitary groups that fought to found Israel, and they're like the heroes of Israel. When Israel was officially founded, they officially designated Irgun and Lehi as terrorist organizations because they had been bombing civilians. They'd been bombing British civilians. The first official act of terror before they changed the definition was the bombing of the King David Hotel, where these terrorists, these Lehi and Irgun terrorists, a bunch of different groups, the guy who planned that bombing later became the prime minister of Israel. They were bombing civilians. And like, so when those are the groups that are fighting to found that nation, so you get this fertile ground for this kind of deep state effect to take power. And when you start to research the heads of state of Israel over history, you realize that a bunch of them were in those groups doing those terrorist acts and have done a bunch of dark stuff because those were the people that were at the top of that military organization. Like those terrorist organizations reformed to form the IDF. I think that the state of the Israeli influence that sustained them for so long, that was essential to them surviving this long, I think that it has grown cancerous to the Jewish faith in general, because Jeffrey Epstein is the perfect example of this. Jeffrey Epstein was the world's most prolific and evil sex trafficker that we know of so far, ever. And he very clearly was a Jewish organization of Jewish people working on behalf of Israel and other groups. And so that's a dark stain on Israel and on the Jewish people if you own it. Like, if you try to defend that, that's not good. You don't want to have to defend that. But you don't, like, as a Jewish person, you're now faced with this choice. Do I stand by Israel always, forever, for everything, and defend everything they do? Or do I get labeled as a self-hating Jew like Dave Smith gets labeled, like Glenn Greenwald gets labeled? Right. Do I stand against all of my culture? And do I get ostracized by my family and by my community? But the problem is that if you have to defend everything that Israel does, you're forced to defend this deep state that is in bed with these organized crime figures.
Right. Well, the thing is, Israel is connected to one race of people.
Yeah.
It's correct. Whereas the United States, which also is involved in a lot of really fucked up things all over the world. When people think about the United States, they don't think about it as one.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it just puts us all in this impossible situation, and it's an impossible conversation that we all, and I'm glad for it, because it's a maturing process. And I think we need to do it very delicately and very carefully and thoughtfully, because Jewish people are people and they're not evil. But there are evil Jewish people, and there are evil American people, and there are evil Saudi people, and it's just, that's the way it is.
Well said.